moved up. They're 27-25. They're currently in the number 5 spot. So how about this? The Kings, who haven't been in the playoffs in 17 years, and you've got the T-Wolves, who have only been there twice since 2004. You talk about the shakeup in the Western Conference. These two teams are certainly showing that.
Scott, I was talking to Jason the other day, and I was like, it's almost like the changing of the guards. You know, our teams and our players who we quote unquote put up to be all-stars and mega superstars, those guys are getting up in age, and the new jack stars of the league are starting to rear their heads. You know, okay, LeBron is holding on for the best of them. Father Time is not catching up with LeBron.
Another 41 point. We're going to get into LeBron in the non-call Saturday night in Boston, too.
Yes, but, you know, most of those other all-stars that have usually been there, the quote-unquote staples, well, we got new jacks coming in. We got, you know, guys like, guys like John Morant. You got Luka. You got Trey. Yeah. You know, you got De'Aaron Fox. You got a lot of new young stars that's coming into this league, and those old teams aren't up there just dominating anymore.
No question. Let's talk about one of those new stars, the third-year Anthony Edwards. Had a monster game against the Kings, 34 points. He had the ultimate dagger on that three late in the game to put it totally out of reach. 5 3-pointers. He had 10 rebounds, 6 assists. He has really found it.
He found it, Scott, and he definitely put it out there for all the Kings fans to see. You know, for me, he kind of flew under the radar for a minute because D'Lo was just knocking shots down from everywhere. I mean, it seemed like he could have just kicked the ball in the basket. And, you know, and then all the onus was on him. It was like, okay, you have to stop D'Angelo. You have to stop D'Angelo. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Anthony Edwards put his stamp on the game. And honestly, I thought his stamp was more important than what D'Angelo did.
No doubt. He closed it out. D'Angelo had all those 7 3-pointers in the first half. It was definitely a 1-2 punch. De'Aaron Fox, I mean, we saw him again in the fourth quarter. He was brilliant, 21 points. He's fourth quarter D. We know all of that. Are you getting a little concerned that he's becoming fourth quarter D and not as much quarters 1 through 3 at all?
You know, honestly, Scott, you can always look at that and say, well, you know, De'Aaron, if you could put in this Herculean effort in the fourth quarter, why you can't do it all 4 quarters, or why you can't turn that light switch on automatically, you know, in the first half. I honestly think it's unfair to point the finger at D and say something like that, because this guy has been tremendous for this basketball team.
For sure.
You know, you're asking a guy that's averaging 20 plus a night to be more. I honestly feel like you need to walk around the locker room and look at some of these other guys and say, hey, can you at least get your average?
Yeah.
And then, you know, De'Aaron wouldn't be in a spot to where you have to ask him to do more, because I definitely think that this young man is given above and beyond. Understand, he's the franchise guy, and I expect that out of him. And if he wasn't giving this team that, Scott, I would be the first one to call him out and say, hey, bro, you got franchise money. You got franchise tag. You need to be doing more. But I don't feel that way about De'Aaron. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do.
He's been amazing, no doubt about it. His fourth quarters have been as good as anybody in the league. You just wonder if he might be able to spread that out a little bit more. A bigger issue, to your point, the bench, lack of production.
Well, Scott, here's the thing. If he spread it out and still have the same numbers, you still lose. You still lose.
Maybe.
No. You still lose if De'Aaron still gives you the exact same numbers. Let's just take this Minnesota game.
All right, let's break it down.
If we take the same Minnesota game and say, okay, instead of De'Aaron having a Herculean fourth quarter, he spread it out over all 4. Well, guess what? You still lose because he still get the same amount of numbers.
Maybe, but to my point, like they were down in the first quarter 29-21. It was a 33-22 third quarter. De'Aaron spectacular in the fourth, but it's all kind of in a comeback role. And I'm not saying it was too little too late, because the Kings were right in that game until the very end. All I'm trying to say is if those points come combination third and fourth, maybe they're not down as much going into the fourth.
Makes no difference. You lose. What I'm saying is that if you're asking De'Aaron to do more, I understand that.
Yeah.
Now you're saying, okay, De'Aaron, we lost by 1 point. We need you to score another point.
Yeah.
I understand that. You score another basket, you win. But if De'Aaron scores the exact same amount, but he spreads it out, it makes no difference. You still lose by 1.
All right. I can understand that for sure. And again, I am not faulting De'Aaron Fox, who I think belongs on the All-Star team and has had a great year. So, and
No doubt.
there's much more things that we could pick on with the Kings. And it's hard to even pick on the Kings at 27 and 21 because the trend is good, and this team certainly has been the surprise of the league, and all the things are positive. But if we're just looking at it, and certainly things that need to be improved tonight versus on Saturday, you got to get more than 13 bench points. They got 2 from Lyles. They got 7 from Metu. They got 4 from Mitchell in the game. They did get 13 from Monk as well. But again, they need a little bit more off the bench.
You know, that's what I'm saying. How about that? That's why I have been the last person to really defend De'Aaron Fox, because I honestly felt like this kid can do whatever he wants to do out there on the floor. But I'm in his corner when we talk about, okay, what else can the Kings do to manufacture points to where they could win? Some other guys have to step up.
Yep.
You just can't put all the onus on De'Aaron to score. The same way I say you can't put all the onus on Sabonis to grab all the rebounds. Okay, he's a major part, but fellas, you guys got to chip in. The guards, you guys got to get in there and get 4, 5, 6 rebounds. You just can't leave it all on this man and just say, okay, Sabonis, we got to beat on the boards. Well, if you just get 2 more rebounds, man, that's not fair.
I hear you. And another double-double for Sabonis. He leads the league in double-doubles, his 37th on Saturday. The Kings were beaten on the glass 44-36 overall, so that's something that they do need to address tonight.
On the defensive side, rebounding the basketball, let's say gang rebounding, just defensive presence all the way around, Scott, is what the Sacramento Kings are really going to have to, fix. And, I want to say go to bed with, but they're really going to have to fix that, because, the teams who we thought were the big time teams, the super teams, the teams that have been manufactured to, go to the playoffs and win, those teams are starting to get healthy now. And after All-Star break, you're going to see those teams really start to try to right their wrong, because every team that we thought was supposed to be in the playoffs are in the dumps right now. Both the LA teams, Golden State, Denver, Dallas, those teams are really going to try to get it together. And if they do, well, Sacramento Kings, look out, because they're trying to make a run. So at that particular point, Sac is going to have to be playing their best ball before the end of the year.
No question. Right now, the Kings have lost 3 of 4. Minnesota, meanwhile, they've got a 6-game homestand. They are certainly playing some of their better basketball of the season. They're 18-10 at home. They're on a win streak right now, so the Kings certainly have their work cut out tonight, but a great opportunity to even the season series. They'll get 2 more games against the Timberwolves here at Golden One Center later in the year. All right, game night underway here on Sactown Sports. When we come back, we'll continue to look at the Western Conference. We'll break down more on the Kings. We're going to get into our YouTube chat room as well. It is game night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140.
The only place you'll find De'Aaron Fox is Sactown Sports.
Spins away from the defender, in the paint, soft floater. That's a great play by De'Aaron Fox.
Hey Sacramento, it's De'Aaron Fox, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sactown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Can you hear me, Scott?
Yeah, are we good to go on the chat?
You got to leave your mic on. Did you turn it off?
I was only being careful, that's all. I'll turn it back on.
Yeah, you can leave it on right now.
All right, cool.
They
All right,
can
so
hear-
we're on
they
in
can
the
hear a little
chat,
behind
High
the scenes.
Flyer. Yeah, so we're gonna talk to the people watching us on the
Cool.
YouTube right now. Thanks for tuning in there.
We got a poll up too. If
Yes.
people in the chat want to take, just kind of gauge a level of everyone's confidence on
Yep.
the game tonight.
All right,
So,
let's hear it.
pretty much, are you confident? Are you thinking they're going to win? You're a little nervous, or you're sure the Kings are going to lose tonight?
All right, I'll go first here. I'm a little nervous. The Kings haven't played great, but I mean, they haven't also suffered a lot of losing streaks. I mean, 3 of 4 have been about as most as it's been all season long. Minnesota is playing well. They shot the ball well. I don't think D'Angelo Russell can make 7 3-pointers a game this year, let alone tonight. So that makes me feel better about it, but it's a tough game on the road. Henry, what do you think?
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear me?
Oh, it's because
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
And my microphone's
We're gonna-
on, everything else.
All right,
Microphone's
we'll
on.
figure that out, High Flower. I'm going to get up and fix that for you.
The volume is up, but I still can't hear anything in my ear. Bro.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You should only hear my voice. You hear my voice, Scott?
Okay. That should work.
You hear my voice, Henry?
Yeah, I hear your voice now.
All right, cool.
So the question is in our poll on the YouTube page,
Mhm.
how are you feeling about the Kings' chances tonight? Are you confident, exclamation point? You think they most likely will win? A little nervous, or Kings lose tonight?
I will say this. I will be disappointed if they lose tonight, Scott. I will be disappointed because I think the Kings have the makeup to be able to beat this basketball team. It's just all about, do they want to come out and do the work? Offensively, the Kings can play with anybody in the league. Defensively is the problem. If they want to come out and they want to defend D'Angelo, they can. If they want to come out and they want to defend the Ant-Man, they can. Those two players are the staples for Minnesota. You have to understand, Cat's not there. So, it's just the outside play. They can get it done.
All right. Welcome back to the game night right here, Sactown Sports 1140. Good conversation during the break on the YouTube. We'll continue to do that.
Yeah, y'all should go there. Check us out.
Yeah, Sactown Sports.
We got a poll up too, if you guys want to take a look at that.
Yep, Nate, you want to read that off for people who are just joining?
Yeah, we got a poll up right now on YouTube. I just realized it wasn't in program just now. But yeah, how confident are you in the Kings winning tonight? Are you very confident? You think they're going to win? A little nervous, or are you sure they're going to lose tonight? So let us know.
All right, yeah, we'll keep tracking that throughout the program as we go through. Again, Henry and I are with you until 4:30 tonight, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame tip tonight, 5:00. Kings and T-Wolves. The G-Man is always with the call. And Game Night is always brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience how the power of family can help your business office equipment needs today. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. You can always call us 1-800-920-1140. You can text us as well at 916-339-1140. One thing we threw out there in the first segment, I want to get your thoughts on this high flyer. Mike Brown, we gave the quote after the game. Basically, he's got to find combinations that can play defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does he go about doing that? And in your mind, what are the combinations? We know that when Davian Mitchell's out there, they're a better team. Obviously, they give up something offensively. So what does Mike Brown do? He wants to find better defensive combinations, but at what expense do you get these combinations?
Well, the way I see things, Scott, and this is just my own perception, when Mike Brown goes to his defensive lineup, he loses a lot on the offensive side. Okay, so
bless you.
Excuse me. So now when you have your defensive team in, let's say Davion Mitchell, KZ Okpala, and let's say Metu.
Yep.
That's your defensive lineup. And, and I'm keeping De'Aaron out of that because De'Aaron goes both ways. I'm just talking about the guys that he brings in specifically for defense. You lose a lot on the offensive end.
Yep.
So you're either going to play them more and sacrifice your offense, or you do the ultimate, which I think Mike Brown is going to elect to do, is that all your offensive guys, De'Aaron, Sabonis, Herter, Harrison Barnes, the rookie, some of the guys come off the bench, Malik Monk.
Yep.
You're going to ask your offensive guys and say, hey, I'm going to hold you to a higher accountability on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to play, but if you don't play defense, I don't care how well you're playing on the offensive end, your minutes are going to suffer.
And that's the tough part, right? Because you want them out there. You hope that they respond and give you the defensive effort that you want. If they don't, then boy, it's an interesting situation.
Honestly, when you hold players accountable, I think they get on board. I don't think that he's going to have any problem, any kickback, any backlash from any one of those players, because everything that he's brought to the table so far, Scott, has pushed his team to another level. So I honestly think that these players believe in Mike Brown.
Yep. They
trust Mike Brown. So I don't think there's going to be any type of backlash, but it's going to be all about Mike Brown's definitely going to have to get into these guys and say, hey, you guys got to understand our next step, because see, first the team just wanted to be competitive, Scott.
Yep.
And so now the team is competitive. A lot of the guys are like, oh yeah, we're competitive. We're definitely competitive, but you can't stop just there. Mike Brown wants to be almost dominant on the defensive side of the ball because that's where they're going to need to be to do something special in the playoffs. So he's got to get those guys there. He's gotten them to the point to where, yeah, we're competitive. Now it's all about that next step, and that's where the work is going to be put in.
Yep, and of course, Monty McNair has the extension. The trade deadline's coming up in a couple of weeks. It'll be interesting to see where the Kings go in the next couple of weeks and what they may or may not do before the deadline.
True. And, and I don't know what goes on in the locker room, in their locker room, because, I've never been in there and don't know how, the verbiage is really, received in the locker room. But, you talk about asking guys to give you more on the defensive end. Well, here's an incentive. Everybody can be moved. Everybody can be moved. You see how happy you are here right now?
Yep.
Everybody can be moved because our end-all be-all won't be met unless we start doing these things that I'm asking you to do. If you guys don't start doing that, our drought, that 16 year is going to be 17 years because what we're doing is not going to get us there.
Yep. And of course, the T-Wolves and Kings had some epic matchups back in the early 2000s. These were the two premier teams, Kevin Garnett and, of course, Chris Webber. We can't forget some of those series. It's been a long dry spell for both teams. I mean, the T-Wolves have been a couple of times there. They haven't done anything in the playoffs since 2004. And for the Kings, we know it's been 2006 the last time they made the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, man. But like I said, I think it's definitely the changing of the guards. Yeah. I think teams like Minnesota, teams like Sacramento, teams like Memphis, they're going to be the new darlings of the league, because they got the new superstars on their teams.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of the T-Wolves, we went over the night that Russell had and Edwards, and I want to get your thoughts, and I'll do it right now before we move on. But your thoughts on Anthony Edwards? He's getting a lot of talk about being a Western Conference reserve. Do you think he is an all-star? Does he deserve to be on the team?
Wow.
Does he deserve and will he be on the team? Those are two different questions. A lot of people deserve to be an all-star who won't make it.
I mean, it's going to be tough, man, because the West is guard heavy.
Yeah.
Very guard heavy. And when you start talking about putting guys in their positions, man, I mean, it's going to be tough because think about it. Okay, we have, of course, Curry's going to be there. All right.
Yep.
Doncic is going to be there.
Yep. Ja's going to be there.
Ja is going to
be there.
D. Lil is going to be there. Okay. You got to understand. We still got D. Book.
Yep.
Maybe. Okay. Now we're still trying to push De'Aaron. Okay.
Yep.
SGA looks good.
Yes, he's got to be on that team.
Right. And we still ain't said nothing about the guy down in New Orleans, CJ.
Yeah.
CJ is looking good. And these are all the teams that's playing well. So now you're going to sprinkle in the Ant-Man in the situation. Yeah. All these are guards.
Yep.
So it's going to be tough. Now, guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, well, I don't think they should be able to go to the front court. I think they should be in there with the rest of the guards if they go make it.
Yeah, no question. And Paul George is certainly another guy who will get a lot of consideration. Kawhi won't, I don't think, just because he missed so much time. But interesting question. All right, but we talked about the stars for the T-Wolves, but as good as anybody on Saturday night was maybe Naz Reid coming off the bench. He was a big impact player in the game.
And you know why, Scott? Because, I honestly think in the scouting report for a lot of these basketball teams, and when they look at Sacramento, they're light in the middle. It's easy to dominate the middle. They don't have too much around the rim. When you start talking about, okay, if Sabonis is not in the game, that rim is wide open, and you can definitely utilize that and take advantage of it. And a lot of teams are. They come right down the teeth of the defense, and they really make the Sacramento Kings pay.
They do, no doubt. We've seen that time and time again, and that's why it'll be so interesting to see what might be out there for the Kings, possibly. Atlanta, a lot of talk about Collins. Will he be on the move? He's got a huge contract. Somebody that seemingly the Kings have been interested in over the years, but boy, you'd have to absorb a lot if you want to make a move for that.
True. Because, you just gave De'Aaron that nice contract, and let's say
Sabonis is coming up.
Sabonis is coming up.
Harrison's a free agent.
HB is a free agent. You're going to have to make some decisions.
Yeah, definitely. So Amani McNair certainly has a lot to think about as February approaches and the Kings get closer towards a playoff berth and trying to shore things up defensively as well. We'll see how that all shakes out. All right, we're going to go around the league a little bit when we come back. But of course, the big news outside of Sacramento, it's usually the case. It usually comes from Los Angeles and Mr. LeBron James. And that game on Saturday night between the Celtics was certainly an epic game. By the way, LeBron not playing tonight against Brooklyn. AD also out, stress issues in the right foot. That doesn't sound great. With LeBron, it's ankle soreness not playing tonight. But that was an epic game in Boston, and I don't think there's any doubt that LeBron got hammered. In fact, the referee union league came out and said they made a gut-wrenching mistake by not calling a foul that sent the game to overtime, and the Lakers eventually lost that game.
Okay. Are those words quotes, Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to pull them up.
Because I got a problem with that.
NBA Referees Union, missing foul on LeBron James, quote, gut-wrenching.
No. See, I got a problem with that. And see, this is my problem.
Hey, let me read you the full quote.
Okay,
the
go
union
ahead.
wrote in
Go
the
ahead.
tweet, like everyone else, referees make mistakes. We made one at the end of last night's game, and that is gut-wrenching for us. This play will weigh heavily and cause sleepless nights as we strive to be the best referees we can be.
Okay. So you mean to tell me that foul right there is just so gut-wrenching at the end of a game?
Yep.
Because it determined that game that the referees are just so distraught right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about all those other calls they missed? And they were just like, oh, well, it's a missed call. Yep, you guys are right. And, and when you're a team like Sacramento, yeah, we had, I want to say 2, maybe 3
gut-wrenching
calls that went against us, but where's
the ref union coming out on that?
Thank you. The words wasn't gut-wrenching then.
I hear you. We'll get into more of that. Of course, we'll go around the league, get you caught up on all the other news and notes. The game's going on tonight. It's game night right here. Sactown Sports, 1140.
Okay. We are in the chat again. You guys want to answer some more questions?
Nate, go for it, buddy.
Yeah. So, let me ask you guys. We got Joe asking if you guys see the Kings making any moves before the looming deadline.
I think if they can, they will, because Henry, I think we've seen this team is good. They can outscore people. Defensively, Mike Brown wants to get it better, but I don't know with this unit, he can do a whole lot to get it better. And we know there's holes interior. We know that teams that are physical, we saw what Toronto did at the end of the homestand. We saw what Nasri did on Saturday night. The Kings need another guy on the front line.
And, Scott, let me put a little bit more to that, to where people really understand. For the Sacramento Kings to make a move, it's going to have to be a huge move, because you just don't want to change one of your guys that have really solidified what you have going. See, it's not like the Kings are playing bad basketball. Everybody on this team has bought in. Everybody on this team basically is playing some of their best basketball. And you talk about changing the culture and you're trying to get guys to gel together. Now, all of a sudden, you get that and things are starting to look good. You can change one person, the wrong person, and derail all of that. So you really have to be certain about the trade that you're going to make.
Yeah. What do you think the Kings with this lineup, let's say they keep it the same, how far do you think they can advance in the playoffs? Can they win a series with this team? Could they win a couple of series?
Couple, no.
Okay.
Can they win that? Can they get out the first round? Yes, they can, but it's a big problem, Scott, because he's got to get these guys to buy in on the defensive side. We've seen minutes.
Hey, Minnesota, can you hear us?
We've seen minutes. We've seen quarters to where the Kings have put it together to where they can play pretty good basketball, but that's not going to get them to where they have to be. I would say at the very least, the way the Kings score the basketball, they're going to have to at least be able to put 2 good quarters together to be able to do something special. 2 good quarters of defense.
Yep. All right, Joe. I hope we answered your questions there.
All right, we can do one more. We got about a minute here, 10 seconds.
Yep.
So we got BCH in the chat asking Henry specifically, why when the Kings get stagnant on offense or defense, Coach Brown refuses to put TD in. Terrence Davis.
Wow, that is a great question. I honestly was thinking about that the other night. I'm like, where does TD fit in to this equation? Because he was asked to start, and he came in and started and had a pretty good performance, and we haven't seen him since. So TD might be one of the guys that's, on the bubble or might be on the outs when you start talking about trying to bring in a different player, maybe a more defensive-minded player to help this basketball team.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't play Terrence Davis a little bit more. And that's one thing with Mike Brown. We can get into this once we get back on air too. But
see,
we're coming back here in about 15.
He's an offensive guy, Scott, and
yes.
He's not looking for offense.
I know, but Mike Brown, in terms of who he uses off the bench, let's just say it's not always consistent. And it doesn't have to be.
True.
But I'm trying to figure out sometime what the bench rotations are.
But the problem with TD is, and I see this with Mike, and this is just being a player and understanding what's going on.
Yep. All right, we'll get more into that. Again, we've been chatting in the YouTube at Sactown during the breaks.
Pretty good.
So if you want to,
pretty good conversation
it's
too,
good,
man.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
I like it. I love having the YouTube. We're everywhere. We're, of course, we're right here on Sactown Sports 1140. You can call us at 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 916-339-1140, and you can put into the chat like JB just did as well. We were getting into his question during the timeout on the YouTube page at Sactown Sports. All right, let's follow back with LeBron. We know what happened on Saturday night. He got hammered, didn't get the call on a layup that would have sent him to the line. The game was tied 105. Game went overtime. Lakers lose 125. He got fouled. No question.
Get out of here. He got hammered.
He got hammered.
You know what? I'm going to start putting you in there with the referees.
No, I said he got hammered. He got
fouled.
He did. Now, of course, LeBron complained. He didn't get it technical. He didn't deserve it. Here were some of the other post-game comments. We mentioned what the refs said, right? They came out because it's LeBron, I do feel. I don't think if there were many other players in the league, they would come out with a ref union statement about the non-call. And it was on national TV, of course, and it's the Lakers, Celtics, all of that. How about Anthony Davis? His quote after the game was, "We got cheated tonight. Honestly, it's unacceptable." Does that deserve a fine? I mean, you start throwing out the word cheated.
It better. See, that's the thing, Scott. It needs to be across the board. Okay, you want to talk about hammered?
Yep.
De'Aaron Fox against, let me see. Who does Javonte Murray play for now?
Oh, that was the Atlanta game.
The Atlanta game when Javonte Murray just straight slugged De'Aaron into the third row. That was a hammering, no call. LeBron got fouled.
He got fouled, clearly.
Yes, he got fouled. But, keep it across the board. And that's the only problem that I have with, the 2-minute report and then, the verbiage they use just because it's LeBron James and just because it's a national TV game and it's just because it's against the Boston Celtics.
Yep. Speaking of the 2-minute report, Darvin Ham, Lakers coach, said, quote, "I don't want to see another 2-minute report. They can save that. It does no one any good."
At all. I mean, if you are a true competitor, Scott, and you know where I've been with the 2-minute report from the beginning. If you are a true competitor and you're in a game, let's just take the LeBron James situation. You're giving everything you have out there on the floor. Mm-hmm. Your team is struggling. Yep. You're trying to drag these guys out of a hole because you're still trying to go for a championship. You're giving everything you have, and then you get, you don't get the call. You go on and lose the basketball game because if you make that shot, you win.
Yep.
All right. You don't get the call. You lose the basketball game. And then you find out the next day you get, oh, well, the 2-minute report says, yes, he got fouled and you should have won that basketball game. That's like a slap in the face to me.
I agree. The Lakers are 23-27. They're in 13th place in the Western Conference. So to your point, they need every win right now because, I mean, they're not even guaranteed a play-in situation.
And believe me, you know how I feel about the Lakers.
I know you hate them.
I am not, advocating for the Lakers, but I am advocating for let's keep it 100. Let's keep everything across the board.
Yep, no doubt. All right, speaking of James' comments, he says, quote, "I don't see it happening to anybody else. It's just weird." Okay. As if is there a conspiracy against LeBron James? Okay. That's what he's suggesting.
LB, stop. I mean, because LB has gotten calls and I'm like, if that was anybody but LeBron James, it's, you're getting thrown out the game.
Yep.
And I have witnessed it with my own eyes, Scott.
Yep.
And you know where I used to sit at for years.
Oh, yeah.
Right at the
That corner
baseline.
on that huge high top chair.
I listened to LeBron James say things to a referee that only LeBron James would get away with, because if it was anybody else, you're getting thrown out the game.
No doubt. And I misspoke for you. I know you don't hate the Lakers. You don't like the Lakers, but you don't have a personal hatred.
No.
towards the team. Yeah.
But like I said, I wanted everything to be across the board. And at this in this instance, LB is right. You got fouled, bruh. You should have went to the line and made 2 free throws, and y'all should have won.
No doubt. All right. Other big news from last night. Giannis goes for another 50 piece.
Ooh, watch out.
At home in Milwaukee. What'd you think about this? He had 47, blowout win. They're up over 20. He pulls up to hit a 3-ball to get the 50. Any issue with that whatsoever?
What time was it?
About a minute 15 to go in the game.
No,
He's still out of the floor. It's a 135-110 victory.
You lose the basketball game. I mean, at the end of the day, if he didn't hit the 3, you still lost. So, him knocking down 3-pointer really doesn't, ruffle my feathers any.
All right. So it's his 5th 50-point regular season game of his career, 2nd this month. First time he's had multiple 50-point games in the same season. Obviously on a roll. And again, as we keep talking about potential MVPs, everybody just keeps trading off. I mean, the game Embiid had against the Joker was awesome. 47 points.
Wait. Not just awesome, Scott.
What would you call it?
That was take this ass whipping, and I'm going to show everybody who is the best center. This is me and you, mano y mano.
Yep.
Let's get this record cleared right now.
Yep. He made it loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
He did. He
You're
owned
good.
that night.
You're good, but I'm the best.
Yep. I'm the MVP this year.
Right.
So, and Embiid with that performance certainly raised a lot of eyes in terms of people who had Joker looking to three-peat. Still a lot of games left, of course, but that was an eye-popping game from Embiid.
And Scooter, Jokic may win it again. I mean, I love what he does for his basketball team, but that matchup with them one-on-one just shows who is the most dominant center. Yeah. Now, Jokic might still get MVP because what all he does for his team, because I look at it like this. Jokic makes other players better.
Yep.
And I think that's more valuable than just Embiid being able to give you 46.
Is it fair to say Jokic is the best offensive player in the game all around?
Offensive? No.
Okay.
No, because it's some other things offensively I think could be done a little bit better than what Joker does.
But clearly Embiid and Giannis are better defensive players than Joker.
Yes.
So, and that's my point. Jokic might be the better offensive player of those three, but when you combine all around offense, defense, it's hard to argue against Embiid or Giannis.
Right. When you look at everything that they bring, like I said, I honestly think that when you start talking about MVP and, when I watch Magic and this was my big aha moment, because there were other point guards better than Magic.
Yeah.
But Magic made everybody around him better. Everybody. Same thing when John Stockton was doing it. And then the same thing when Steve Nash was doing it. Made everybody around them better. You can always get your number, Scott. That's, all basketball players can do that. You got plenty of guys that can score 20 a game.
Yep.
But, when Magic Johnson made AC Green an all-star, that's when you were MVP.
Yeah, you're an MVP if you can make AC Green an all-star.
When you can bring other people along with you.
Yep. All right, let's look at the games going on tonight. Speaking of the 76ers, they're at home. They'll take on the Magic. Embiid leading the league in scoring, 33.8 points per game, 10 rebounds on the year for Embiid.
Oh, man, he is definitely today's Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, he's adding it up.
Nobody can match up with him, size, strength, and power. He is a man among boys in that feat.
No question. And Giannis in the game last night, in terms of points in the paint, I think it was over 30 points point in the paint. And it's like he has 6 of those games in his 50-point performances. And I want to say Shaq has 32 of them and Embiid's at 10 or something like that. So Embiid is today's Shaq, but there was never a Shaq in terms of dominance inside, except for maybe Wilt, of course. But that's everything always comes back around Wilt.
True. I mean, Wilt is going to always be the epitome, but I'm telling you, Shaq is right there. And when you look at what Embiid does, he's just a modern day Shaq because nobody can do anything with him.
Agreed. All right, Lakers and Nets, as we mentioned, no LeBron for this game, no AD. We'll see about that stress issue in the foot. That never sounds good.
I think it's more so. I don't think it's stressed. I think they're giving him a break because he played a lot of minutes against Boston. So they're not going to push the issue and say, okay, we're going to need that same type of play tonight.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're playing against Brooklyn, another good basketball team.
They are without KD, but playing better.
Much better. And, you know, and Kyrie has generated those guys to play better basketball. They've been able to win.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like AD would have an off night to where he don't have to do too much out there. If the Lakers wanted to win, AD got to put in some major minutes.
No doubt. Claxton's played pretty well for the Nets of late, too. All right, Warriors and Thunder, as we mentioned, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who I think most people think will be a Western Conference reserve, averaging over 30 points a night, nearly 5 rebounds, over 5 assists a game. That'll be fun. OKC is only 1 game under 500. The Warriors are only 1 game over 500.
And
this could be one of those games that comes down to at the end of the year who's won the season series.
That's crazy, huh?
It is crazy.
But Scott, where they're playing? Are they on the road or are they
it's in OKC?
Ooh-wee.
Yes.
You know what?
We know what the Warriors, they're 6-18 away from
exactly.
home.
OKC has a great chance to win this game.
They do. Wizards and Spurs. Of course, Sacramento will be in San Antonio on Saturday. Pistons and Mavs tonight. Luka averaging 33, second in the league in scoring, 9 rebounds, 8.5 assists per night. Raptors and Suns. Your boy Pascal Siakam is 25.8 rebounds, 6.5 assists right now. What do you think about the Raptors? We didn't really get a chance to talk about that. You did the game night on Saturday with Jason. I was away. Toronto is a team that is 5 games under 500, and it's hard for me to figure out why.
Tough, Scott, because
that team's got a lot of talent.
For what I've seen here in Sacramento, they really destroyed the Kings. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't seen the Kings play that bad in a long time. And it wasn't like the Kings just, destructed by themselves. No, it was all about what the Raptors did. They put Pascal Siakam at the 5.
Yep.
And put 2 other 6'8", 6'9" long players around him. And then they got big guards.
Yep.
And the way they swarm on the defensive side is crazy. The Kings just couldn't get anything going offensively. When was the last time we said that?
A long time.
And believe me, it was because of the defense that Toronto brought. And then what happened was Sabonis had to guard Pascal Siakam because he was at the 5.
Yep.
So that pulls Sabonis from up under the rim. And then all of a sudden, Toronto just started driving to the basket, scoring because it was no help. It was no rotations, no anything at the basket.
There was no rotations at all. And then I thought offensively they did something really smart too. They put Pascal Siakam or whoever it was at the top of the lane, right? And they just worked the middle against the Kings. And there was a little resistance. It was a great job, I thought, by Coach Nurse of really utilizing the front of the court.
Not just the front of the court, Scott. Let's go with the game within the game. How about when he went to the matchup zone?
Yep.
When he had a bunch of 6'9", long, lean guys, he goes to this matchup zone, and nobody from the Kings can get to the basket. Everything the Kings elected to get was out at the three-point line, and they switched everything, so it wasn't too many jump shots to be had.
Yeah, no, they did a great job. All right, rounding out the schedule tonight, Hawks and Trailblazers. Of course, the game we're going to focus in on when we come back. Sacramento in Minnesota. It's game 2 of the 2-game set in Minneapolis. We'll get you to the Who's on the Floor segment, that and a lot more. Game night being brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. Again, if you have a heart to serve and you want to help out some children who are in need in our community, they need a mentor, this could be a perfect opportunity for you. Give Big Brothers and Big Sisters a call, 916-646-9300, or visit bbbs-sac.org to learn more. Game night continues right here. Sactown Sports, 1140.
Okay, we're clear for YouTube. Give me 1 sec, actually. Okay, I was just got to make sure those commercials are running, because if we
Understood.
don't,
Nate, we got to pay the
I
bills,
will
my
be
friend.
kicked out of here. Yeah. So, this is a little off-topic chat, but that's what the YouTube chat is,
That's
right?
what we
so,
want. Yeah.
So, Joe, again, he asked, Henry, you're going into Embiid is like the modern day Shaq. Who do you think the modern day Barkley is, if you had to make a comparison?
Come on, man. There's no other.
Yeah. Well, there's no other Shaq. I mean,
No. Zion.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Zion is the modern day Charles Barkley. I mean, he's more above the rim, but I'm talking about as far as being 6'4", 6'3", and no other guy can guard him because he's physically stronger than anybody else.
Yeah.
Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I mean, besides the fact that Barkley played more than Zion, I guess that's the big difference there.
Well, Zion is still here.
That's true.
At the end of the day,
But he's still sitting right now. And the question is, can he stay healthy? I mean, is he going to become Anthony Davis?
now see, that's crazy, because today's injured players it's much more rampant than when we played.
Yeah.
That's what trips me out. I mean, you got guys that are, get injured and out for weeks and weeks at a time. We never had that big time. If you had an injury, you didn't play, you was injured, a serious injury. So, today's injured guy is definitely different than back when we played.
So to add on to that, well, another chat, we had Big John asked us a little earlier. He was talking about Minnesota, and right now they have the same amount of wins as the Kings. They both have 27, but I think they've played 3 or 4 more games than the Kings.
Right.
So are you worried about them at all when it comes to playoff seeding or even seeing them in the playoffs?
I'm not worried about the seeing them in the playoffs. When you talk about seeding, yeah. Anybody that the Kings are going to match up against, and you're in the West, you're in the same conference, and you're trying to get that home court split. Well, it might be 2 or 3 teams that are tied with that, and that might take you from that, from that 7th spot out to the 9th spot to where you're out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Kings just got to stay on. They got to win tonight. I feel like this is a really important game.
They have to win this game tonight.
Yeah, they have to.
It's not a must-win.
It's not, obviously, it's not a must-win.
No, Scott.
It's like an emotional must-win.
It's not a must-win, make or break, but it's one of those games to where, for one, like you said, you definitely don't want Minnesota to get up on you as far as the standing. But at the end of the day, you still got to play better basketball and stay at that 500 mark.
Yeah, and to your point, you said you're looking at it more not home and road record, but not sliding and losing 3 in a row, 4 or 5.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You don't want to let go of the rope.
Right. You got to have this game.
Yep.
If you want to stay right there in that 3rd spot and have a little bit of cushion, you need to win this game.
100%. I agree. Yeah. So, Scott, we are out of here at 4:24:30, and we're coming back right now in about 10 seconds.
All right.
I'm gonna turn your mics on, or program, but off.
And welcome back into game night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140. The High Flyer getting his groove on.
Classic, baby. It's a classic. Whatever you hear classic, you got to get a little bop in and say, hey.
I love the look. The YouTube people are getting a chance to see all of that. We've had some great discussion on the YouTube today during the break.
Some good questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some very good questions, man. We're going to start having a little fun with that.
We will.
If we could go over the poll real quick at our last segment. So fans tonight are pretty confident. 43% in fully confident that the Kings are going to win. So the 3% say the Kings will lose tonight. 30% most likely they'll win, and then 24% they're a little nervous. So it's spread out, but definitely people are confident.
People are confident. The Kings, to the point, have given us reason to be confident. And to your point, Henry, and this is what we were talking about in the YouTube chat. And again, if you haven't, go to Sactown Sports, subscribe to the chat page there. We'd love to have you on board. Give us a like. We are really putting up some good content there, but you're more concerned about the Kings not letting go of the rope, not losing 3 in a row. If they lose tonight, it'd be 4 or 5. They've done a great job of not having sustained losing streaks.
Right. And we're just talking now, Scott, to the run to All-Star break. And I'm like, these last 10 games, they need to play 500. So that started with the game yesterday. So they need to get this win to keep that 500 streak going, because, the Kings really want to stay in this third spot to where they're comfortable, not in a third spot to where, you got, guys that's behind you one game.
Right.
You definitely want to keep that little cushion.
No doubt. All right, let's get to the Who's on the Floor report. It's brought to you by Gold River Floors. For the Kings, no injuries for Sacramento.
Nice.
And again, that's been the biggest secret to their success all season long. The health has been amazing for Sacramento. As for Minnesota, and again, keep this in mind, questionable means probable in NBA language, but the T-Wolves are listing Rudy Gobert with a calf as questionable, Taurean Prince ankle as questionable. As we know, Jordan McLaughlin's out with the calf, and the big cat, of course, out for Minnesota as well. That's your Who's on the Floor report. Again, brought to you by Gold River Floors. Let the pros at Gold River Floors assist you with all your flooring needs. 3 locations to serve you: Sacramento Flooring off Power Inn Road in Sacramento, Gold River Carpet One off Highway 50 in Rancho Cordova, and Gold River Flooring America off East Bidwell in Folsom. And that's part we really haven't gotten into, but Minnesota's kind of found their groove without the big cat. He's going to come back. Obviously, you're always better when you bring back an all-star caliber player. But what about the mix right now without Big Cat and what it might look like when he does come back?
Well, they're learning how to use Rudy Gobert. I don't think that Rudy and Big Cat had enough time together to really mesh and gel. But, I'm with you. When you get a team to play good basketball and your number one guy is out, I just think it makes you a much better team when he comes back. Kind of the situation where Memphis had last year. You remember John Morant was out for a long period of time.
Yeah.
They played great basketball, and then you had some nuts who really don't know basketball. Well, they need to get rid of John Morant. No, you don't. You just a much better, much deeper team when you bring your all-star back. Feel the same way about Cat. When he comes back to Minnesota and they bring him back, he's an all-star caliber guy. We don't talk about a guy that just comes off the bench and give you complimentary numbers.
Well, and the self-proclaimed greatest outside big man shooter of all time.
Right. And with that being said, Scott, now you got a legitimate guy down low. Cat, do what you do. Do what, you're self-proclaimed. Have fun out there.
Yep. All right. Well, the Kings don't have to worry about him tonight. They do have to worry about Anthony Edwards. They do have to worry about D'Angelo Russell. Obviously, they can't give up 7 threes to D'Angelo tonight.
Obviously, Scott, every last guy in the Sacramento King uniform is going to have to make a Minnesota Timberwolf feel them. Not just one person, not just 2 people. I'm not putting the onus on, no single out, nobody. I'm talking about the whole team. You guys are going to have to make the Minnesota Timberwolves feel you in order for you to win this game.
No doubt. Maybe a little more Davion tonight.
Davion, whoever's going to put the defensive effort that the coach needs, they need to be out there on the floor.
Okay, how about the rebounding situation that we talked about? The Kings got beat on the glass pretty good on Saturday.
Scott, it's gang. Come on. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
Sabonis does his job. He's averaging a double-double.
Yep.
Now, everybody else, you have to pitch in. All the guards, you have to come back. De'Aaron, you got to get a couple more rebounds. Same thing with Kevin Huerter. The Rook, you've been rebounding at a great level. Got to get a couple more rebounds. You have to help Sabonis out.
No question. And the Kings, again, it's a 7-game road trip. This is game 2 tonight. You look at the teams that they're playing. I mean, Spurs on Wednesday, certainly a very winnable game. The Pacers, they've lost 10 of 11 now without Tyrese.
Yeah.
They go to New Orleans, who has struggled without Zion. And then you get the Rockets twice, and you're thinking, my goodness, this could be a really great road trip. But to your point, this is one of those games, if you go 0-2 against Minnesota, it starts slipping the other way. Who knows how this thing goes?
Right. So you definitely want to come out, right your wrong. We understand. Lost the first game. No real, you don't get upset. You don't send off any alarms. But you have to regroup and change things, make some changes, and come back and win this game.
Yeah, they do indeed. And finally, with Anthony Edwards being as athletic as he is, what about him tonight? What do you do against him defensively?
Make him uncomfortable, Scott. Make him uncomfortable. Do not let him get down into the teeth of your defense. And when you do, see, that's one thing that, we were talking earlier about why Terrence Davis isn't on the floor. Terrence Davis make big-time mistakes when he's not guarding on ball. I'm talking about off-ball rotations. And that's where Coach Brown need these guys to have a better high IQ as far as the rotations on the weak side.
Were you surprised they didn't foul earlier late in the game and they gave Edwards that 3 down 4?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really, because if he misses that 3 and you rush back down and get a bucket, it's a whole different ball game.
You still have a timeout. All right. Well, we'll see how it plays out tonight. We'll see if the Kings can even up the series. They'll get 2 against Minnesota here later in the year at Golden One Center. Henry, is always great fun. It was great in the YouTube. We're going to have fun with that the remainder of the year. We're going to get time with that.
Yeah, we definitely got to utilize that.
Nate, great job with that as well. Coming up next, it'll be Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross is here. He'll sit right here with the high flyer. They'll break it down for the next half hour. 5 o'clock tip tonight. G-Man with the call. It's Kings basketball as they take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Keep it right here all evening and night long right here on Sactown Sports 1140. Have a great night, everyone.